That worked over there.
Yeah.
He didn't tell me that at all.
Okay, it is July 5th, 2022, 5:45 p.m. We're going to call this Finance Committee meeting to order. Present are council members Lang, Barker, Heidner, Hauser, and Marmee. The first item to just inform you of, the general fund stands at $217,388 as far as the unappropriated balance. And the budget stabilization fund stands at $936,003. First item on the agenda is a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor of the city of Newark to prepare and submit applications to the United States Bureau of Justice Assistance for fiscal year 2022 Edward Byrne Justice Assistance Grant funding.
This is a grant that the city will be sharing with the County Sheriff's Office.
Questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we're sharing it with the county sheriff. What portion of the grant is sharing? What percentage of the funds?
50-50.
50-50. Thank you.
Motion by Lang, second by Barker. Any questions and or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same pass. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is a request for appropriation in the amount of $3,100. Marcia Phelps could not be here this evening, so she just asked. It is a payout for an employee, Rachel Cox, the amount of $3,100. Motion by Barker, second by Lang. Any questions and or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda is a request for appropriation in the amount of $35,700.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. We recently had a sergeant retire from the police division, and this would be his payout.
Motion by Lang, second by Barker. Any questions and or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much, Director. Next item on the agenda is a request for appropriation in the amount of $110,000.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is ARP money from the second tranche, and this is two departments I've been working with to upgrade their technology. On the engineering side, it's some pads for them to be able to work out the field more efficiently, and a survey instrument too that a one man can handle instead of a two-man. That is a pretty old system they had. On the law side, it is replacing all of their desktops because they really are quite antiquated and have some issues, along many other things developed for body cameras. With body cameras, there'll be obviously recorded video that will become evidence, and they'll have to have a place they can store it. So it's a mini on-site storage unit that they can send out a link to with an expiration notice, and council can collect it or email in and get into that link and download those. So We worked with John Carson, and I worked with Trish and Cindy and Casey up there, and we came up with, I think, it's a very good plan for them moving forward, so.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The usual question I ask on the ARPA money are, where are we at with the balance on that, and how much is left?
I'd say this probably 3-2, Jim, maybe?
Real close, 3-2.
About 3-2, I think, yeah.
After we take this.
Uh-huh.
Okay, thank you. Offer motion. Second.
Motion by Lang, second by Barker. Any further questions and or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, this finance committee meeting stands adjourned. Next up is service.
All right, we'll call the service committee meeting in order. Those present, myself, Brad, Harris, Barker, Blind, and Honinger. Up next, consider resolution 22-59, district-wide bridge painting on the following structures. COS 36-24.42L, SFN 1600516, LIC 79-13.71, SFN 4505026, MUS 70-18.45R, SFN 06003214, MUS 70-18-45L, SFN 6003249, MUS 70-19.58, SFN 6003338, repair and paint B5 at forward abutment on GUE-7. The LIC 79-13.71 structure is located within the city of Newark and carries SR 79, State Route 79 southbound over State Route 16. Now that y'all know, I can read numbers. Go ahead, Mr. Rhodes.
You did a great job there. You go really, what we're here is just putting a resolution together that allows us to have ODOT do the final one, which is the 7916 structure, and they're gonna paint that, and ODOT pays for it.
Okay, and this is associated with ODOT, so it says it's expedited, emergency clause included, yes. And it's because we're dealing with ODOT and not doing it
That's correct.
on time. Okay, any questions or comments?
Motion.
Motion by Harris. Seconded by Blind. Mr. Barker, you have a question?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Director Rhodes, you stated that ODOT pays this, correct?
That is correct.
In section 2, it states though that the LPA, which is referenced to be the city of Newark in the beginning, pays 100% of the costs.
We get a reimbursement from ODOT.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? All those in favor of passing this on council, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That will pass on to council with a vote of 5-0. Thank you, sir. Up next, consider resolution 22-63, a resolution authorizing and directing the director of public service to negotiate and enter into a contract without competitive bidding for the purchase and installation of a pool liner for the Holiday Pool.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Pool liners have about a 10 to 12 year lifespan. We're at the end of the lifespan on a particular pool liner we have. 2 weeks ago, in the ARP money, there was dollars included in there to replace the pool liner. We want to use the same company to put in the pool liner. I just forgot their name, but we'll use the same company. And I have to get on their list so we get this in by next spring. And things are just that backed up. So if we want to get the home pool open I need the authority to put a new pool liner.
That was gonna be my question is when are you planning to install it?
Yeah, if I'm on their list, I just have to have the authority to sign this, so I can have them install it in the spring.
Motion.
Who said that? Okay. Motion by Parker, second by Blind. The questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of passing this on to council, signify by saying aye. All opposed, same sign. That motion will pass with a vote of 5-0. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Up next will be resolution 22-64. A resolution of intent to appropriate the real estate known as parcel number 054-216618-00.000, Newark, Licking County, for maintaining and improving Thornwood Crossing within the city of Newark, Ohio, authorizing the mayor to give notice to the owner of such lands as required by law and declaring an emergency.
Good evening. These, the following 3 resolutions are in reference to the big projects. That's going to start with the revamping of the Thornwood Crossing, roundabout being put in there, which is going to require us to appropriate some parcels of land. So this triggers that intent to take the properties and triggers the city to send out notice to those property owners, which is required by the Revised Code.
Any questions from the committee? Ms. Hodge?
Just explaining the emergency because of the timing.
It is, I believe with the construction deadlines and the process that it may go through, if the property owners do not want to relinquish the property, that requires some process that we've got to get started. That's going to require this to get through quicker so we can get notice to them, get it resolved quicker so that the project can get on its.
Have we had any conversations with current property owners? I mean,
I
do
believe
they
there have
assume
been.
this is coming? It's not a shock.
No, they believe that Caroline Clippinger, my office is working on that, and from my conversations with her, they have been put on notice as to who we're going to come in and take the property. So they've been aware. We just have to, like Ohio Revised Code Council, the legislative body has to issue this resolution to officially get it started.
So could you briefly in layman's terms explain to us the process from us passing this on to council to actually acquiring the property and how that works?
I honestly, I can't step by step. We have an agency, and that there's a attorney that has been farmed out from an agency that does this all the time.
Okay.
So they will be getting through this process. What I know about this resolution that was worked on by Ms. Clippinger and Mr. Moorhead is that this is what's required from the city per the Ohio Revised Code to get this put into motion. Yes.
Any other questions or comments? Your motion? Second by Oninger. Second by Parker. All in favor of passing this on to council, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That passes with a vote of 5-0. Up next, resolution 22-65, a resolution of intent to appropriate the real estate known as parcel number 054-225-744-00.000 and parcel number 054-225-738-00.000, Newark, Licking County, for maintaining and improving Thornwood Crossing within the city of Newark, Ohio, authorizing the mayor to give notice to the owner of such lands as required by law and declaring an emergency.
Same.
Your responsibility.
Ditto.
Okay,
Yeah, I do that.
fine.
Yes, ma'am. I was wondering, in this process, as obviously there's a legal organization involved, will the citizens, should they not want to relinquish, what would be their process? Is that within the bounds of that?
It
Okay.
can, but there is a process that Newark will take to take that property, complete the construction, probably be in the form of settlement with that, with those landowners, but as to the process. I can't give you the details to that.
That was the fun thing that formed the settlement where.
I will say,
Possibility of-
having this project in the third ward, I will say that these property owners have been aware that this has been coming for, I don't know for how long, but I know no less than a decade. So, in fact, I know people have put off maintenance on their houses because they know that eventually it's going to be bought out from under them and torn down. So they're patching roofs and foregoing different things like that. So they're very well aware of the fact that this is coming.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, I'm sorry.
you're fine. I just want to make sure this one, I want to ask, because the last one was on an easement. Getting an easement. This one we're reading now is on purchasing, the intent to purchase a property. The terms still remain the same, no matter whether it's an easement for construction compared to acquisition of parcel.
And what do you mean, the process for the resolution?
Yes.
I believe it's the same.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Seconded by Harris. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of passing this on to council, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That will pass the motion 5-0. On that resolution number 22-66, a resolution of intent to appropriate the real estate known as parcel number 054-228-294-00.000 and parcel number 054-228-294-00.001. Newark, Lincoln County for maintaining and improving Thornwood Crossing within the city of Newark, Ohio, authorizing the mayor to give notice to the owner of such lands as required by law and declare an emergency. Ditto? Ditto. Motion by Blind.
Okay.
Seconded by Hollander. Further questions or comments? Being none, all those in favor of passing this on to council, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That too will pass with a vote of 5-0. Thank you, Mrs. Moore. And that concludes the service committee for tonight. Up next will be the safety. We'll hear a stellar presentation. I apologize.
I heard you. No, you're fine.
Unless I rotate like this.
No, I hadn't
There
even,
is no peripheral vision.
that's why I said something, because I hadn't even like raised my hand yet. Okay, you're fine. No worries. No, you're good.
I'd like to call the safety committee to meeting to order. President myself, introduce Mr. Parker, Mr. Lyon, Mr. Hauser, and Mr. Rath. Tonight we will have a presentation by Chief McKee from Newark Police Department on the flock camera system. Steve, you'd like to, thanks. So I will pass these out.
Thank you for your time. So obviously with our depleted manpower, the police department needs to look at efficiency. I've been doing that through the use of technology as much as possible with the online reporting system, other internal things to eliminate paperwork and so forth. We came across this system. It's been a couple of years ago, but this company has been in business for a while. I have a representative for actual technical questions if you guys have them afterwards. Otherwise, I will just give you the lowdown, a brief example of what we're talking about. And then I will also send full council some other stuff digitally that's a little bit more interactive than what we're talking about here. So flock safety first started out in, it was basically in a HOA. Guy was tired of his car getting broken into, came up with a system on how to, basically it's a license plate reader system. We currently have a couple on our cars on a grant that read license plates. However, they are infrared technology and only do the reflection off of the license. Flock Safety noticed that they were missing a whole bunch of avenues by doing that. So they designed a product that utilizes motion. So any vehicle, bicycle thing passing by the camera will have its photograph taken. Although not complete video clips, a photograph nonetheless. They've also integrated algorithms into that to read various details and characteristics of each vehicle. So we've all seen the minivan with all the little people on the back window. If we were looking for a vehicle such as that, traditional LPRs would only pick up minivan in a certain color. We can actually search for stickers on the back window, roof racks, caps on the back of vehicle, different sort of characteristics. Their technology breaks it down. Okay. So that's sort of how they work, and you can put them throughout the city. There are cities just east of us who are using them. Keith is coming on board, Sheriff's Office is coming on board. They all tie in together. There's over 1,500 law enforcement agencies across the US using them. We would all tie into that system. So it reads off of the NCIC system that warrants and stuff are put into, stolen cars are put into, and we can also put a local database in for vehicles we are looking for. And as soon as a vehicle triggers one of these cameras, that's either the license plate or the vehicle description, it sends an immediate notice to our MDTs in the car to tell the units that a vehicle has just entered a specific area. Okay, so that makes us so much more efficient. When you look at the breakdown of cities who have utilized this, Flock Safety is going to tell you that it can be up to 70%. Mr. Rath, you know how statistics work, but in your packet, there is an actual Dayton study that the city of Dayton did in 2 separate neighborhoods with Flock Safety. So that's local, that's close enough to us to actually have some raw data and data we can use from 2018 for a 3-year period. And they saw a 40% reduction in one city or one neighborhood and a 10% in another. The area around Cleveland currently is, each city is coming on board. And what they've seen is the cities that do not have Flock Safety, their crime goes up. Because once criminals start realizing this, that they're going to be detected on camera, they stop going to those cities to do property crimes, retail crimes. And that is one of our big problems in the north end of Walmart, Lowe's, Kohl's. The people who steal from them are the people who steal from them all over Central Ohio. So we can put their information into this system, and anytime they trigger these cameras, we would know that they are coming into that area. So phase 1 is for us to get that. We have applied for an ORPA grant to get them. However, to sustain it, we will need funding beyond that. But in looking at this, we're also in phase 2 and 3 going to start reaching out to the HOAs such as Park Trails. They have 1 entrance in and 2 exits and 2 entrances. They would only need 2 cameras, and it would seriously reduce a lot of the crime that they have in that neighborhood. Walmart, Kohl's, if they would put them on their entrances and exits, it would all tie into our system and integrate with it. So the people that they want to target, they would know, and we would also know when those people enter and exit into those areas. So this technology is absolutely amazing. I can, in the grant packet, I've listed a few crimes that we have caught with just Ring cameras and that sort of current technology, this is way above and beyond it. We had the near fatal hit skip on 21st Street. That would have, because we want to target the retail areas and certain areas throughout town, that would have garnered that. The bank robbery up north would have garnered a description much faster because the camera would have taken a picture of that vehicle. It is such a great investigative tool and will do such good for us. I don't know how we could turn it down, because what will happen is the other cities who are getting it, the bad guys are just going to come here because we don't have it. So we do have, like, the company put out a map of how many cameras we should have. We obviously can look at that monetarily and figure it out. We don't own them. They come in and they put them up. There is an introductory cost. It's $28.50 per camera the first year. After that, it's $2,500 per camera. They handle all the maintenance on them. They handle the replacement costs. They handle all of that. If we don't want them, they come in and take them down. If we want more, they come in and put up more. I will tell you from talking to them for a very long time now, most cities get more instead of taking away. That's just historically how it's worked. But in looking at, like I said, for ease of use and everything, it ties into our system. It's web-based. It does not have any sort of facial recognition technology, so it doesn't do that. It's just a vehicle description. It's just a tool for us to use. However, 70% of crimes are committed by somebody in a vehicle. So if we can target that, just even having a portion of reduction is where you can get to 70% would be optimal, down to 40%, 10% would be better. So in the packet, I've also had our list of property crimes and such. So figure out statistically what 10% of that would be. We would have a reduction. That's a serious thing to our victims in our neighborhood. If we can reduce property crimes by 10%. Like catalytic converter crimes, when we get those people who are in a certain vehicle, we put that in the system. We know all throughout the shifts, when they trigger a camera, it's going to say this person just passed right by you. We have a unit there, there's a unit close. Okay, so once again, an incredible investigative tool for us as we go on. But like I said, I didn't want to take too much time away from what we have going on here after this, but the study is in there. Like I said, our stats are in there as far as violent crime and so forth, as far as property crimes and how it will decrease it. So our objective is to decrease violent crimes by 15% the first year. Same way with arrests and also property crimes by the same as those. And in utilizing this new technology, such as like what Ring Neighborhood has brought, flock safety with it integrating with all the police departments around us where criminals travel to and fro. We'll go to the Walmart and Heath and then come here and steal right after that and then head out to Zanesville or Coshocton or head west into Columbus. It will truly tell when somebody comes in and when they come out. This technology is also currently being sought after by our drug enforcement task force. They're going to be using it obviously for a different purpose. But for us, I'm looking at what really matters, and those are the victims in our neighborhood. And the property crimes are truly what matters the most to them. That's a quality of life issue. So if we could just reduce that and have more efficiency on our officers' part, it's just an absolute win-win in my life. If you look near the end of the packet, you actually see what one looks like. They have a solar panel on top of them. It's just a small infrared camera, is all as it is. So in looking at cost for the first year, they recommended we put up 26 cameras within the city of Newark. Once again, we could probably rein that in a little bit. 20 was what we suggested in the grant. However, they have engineers who have mapped out the city to be optimal. I tend to want to trust their engineers a little bit if they know what they're doing because they've been doing this so long. But if we did 26 cameras for the first year, that's $74,000. And then to maintain that is $65,000 annually, obviously, which we would have to budget for and try to maintain moving forward. Once again, that cost compared to what it would do for our citizen safety, I think is well worth it. So it's actually less than an officer when you do benefits and everything. It's significantly less, it's about half. So for the cost of half an officer, I can make all of my officers more efficient. So with that, I'll stand for any questions. Like I said, I have Logan Hara here with Flock Safety. If you have any technical questions on how it works, how it saves the thing. A lot of people say this is Big Brother watching you, but to combat that, every 30 days, Flock Safety dumps permanent hard drive delete all the information that they've had over the last 30 days. So we would have 30 days to utilize that data to solve a crime. Any side outside that point, it's just like with video now, it would overwrite itself. It would be a hard delete. So they're not keeping it. They don't want the information. It's only used by us, only accessible by us and other law enforcement agencies.
Any questions from the?
I had a question, Mr. House. I don't know the circumference of the view of the camera, but is there any concern with people vandalizing these cameras in certain locations? I don't know if that's ever been a concern.
Hasn't happened. Logan Harrell for the record, if you need it. In terms of cameras being vandalized, yes, it has happened before. I'm sure just like any cameras that get set up, sometimes they get vandalized. But we don't see that happen very often. In terms of the height where the camera sits off the ground, about 10, 11 feet off the ground.
You're mounting them on.
What's that?
What are you mounting them on?
It could be, it's called a flock and solar pole, where it's a 14-foot pole. We dig it 2 feet into the ground. Camera hangs about 10, 11 feet off the ground. That's one option. Another option is to hang it off of like a wooden utility pole if you're hooking up to electric. And then a third, and these are like the three most common ways they're hung up, is just like a light pole or something like that. And then we put a solar panel on top of it.
It could be existing infrastructure. They can bring their own depending on how it is. Each camera covers 2 lanes of travel. So if it were a 2-lane road, it would cover both coming and going. If it's like State Route 16, we would need a camera on each side to do 2 lanes. 21st Street, the monster, has 5 lanes, right? So we would probably miss the turn lane, but that, I mean, although I've seen more than enough people driving it like it's another lane, you're not supposed to. So once again, they have engineers that will figure out how and where those go, but that's how it would pick up. It can pick up at least 2 lanes of travel as motion detect and start paying off those license plates.
Yes, so how does the system communicate back to the officers? So is it cellular, is it Spectrum, is it what,
Great question. So the storage is actually through Amazon Web Services, and that's a rolling 30-day, but then it's LTE coverage, just like our cell phones are.
Okay. So that $2,500 encompasses that cell service bill as well.
Yeah, and another way to put it, there's no additional cost for the cell service for the city or the department or anyone else.
Okay. And in Amazon servers, it's stored in the GIS location where all the government restricted stuff is. So it will have a heightened sense of security.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. So what's the timetable for installation? If we were to go ahead and say, yes, we want to do this, how long does it take to install and get up and running?
Typically 6 to 8 weeks. 6 to 8 weeks.
You would have to ask her. I don't know where she went. So we have submitted for that. It's I don't know what the time is.
And follow to that grant is only for the first year cost.
Yeah, that's all it would be is for implementation. Well, 2 years is how it would be structured. But that's it.
So that's $74,000.
It would be, but so we asked for $100,000 and some to cover 2 years of the cost of the grant. You know, historically, we've never gotten the full amount, so we might get that. I don't know. What we could get is who knows. We can only get part of it. We might get, all of it. It's a roll of the dice, unfortunately. I don't know what we get, but I know what we need. So that's the cost I'm giving you. The $65,000 annually for 26 cameras at least would be a rolling cost that you could always budget in forever. We would at least have that for the life of however long we decide to stay with Fox.
Chief, you stated, you quoted the Dayton statistics, or
Yes,
you said they tested it in 2 neighborhoods.
yes.
One neighborhood had a reduction of 40% crime, another 10. Why the difference? That's a pretty dramatic difference.
Yeah, and part of it, there was they didn't have as many cameras in the one neighborhood at the time as the other neighborhood was part of it. And then unfortunately, different neighborhoods have different crimes. So I think, in the one neighborhood, in the Twin Towers neighborhood that you'll see, it was an overall, of 40%. And in the other one, an overall 10%, which is still better than, you know what I mean? So, and it's, once again, it's just reported crime, and you could, make that however, but statistically, across talking to people who are using this system, it is making a very, very big difference. The city of Reynoldsburg has basically walled off their city from Columbus. They have 20 cameras along Livingston Avenue, blocking anything coming from west to east. They have gotten carjacking suspects to retail theft suspects. And talking to a lot of the Reynoldsburg guys, their MDTs unfortunately are constantly going off. I'm not sure what effect we will have initially. I would imagine close to the same, because these people know, oh, I can't commit crimes and travel, to a certain place, especially since everybody this side is starting to look at this company. And like I said, they will tell you in the Cleveland area, now there's only a few cities that don't have it, and their crime has gone up significantly because the bad guys are traveling to those areas to commit the crimes. So they're not going to get caught.
And then a follow-up to that is, feel the issue this as well, but obviously retail theft is a big issue. I can see some retail facilities liking this more than others. Not that anybody would dislike it. But has there ever been an opportunity for a retail facility to sponsor cameras just to assure that they have them at their facilities? And is that a way that we can look at maybe managing some of the costs?
Yeah, so we have a variety of different customers who will purchase these cameras, right? So law enforcement within a community will purchase the cameras. Also, let's say a Walmart is having a lot of organized retail crime happen, and they want to put a few cameras at their entry points to the parking lot. That gives them the actionable evidence that they need. So they might just go ahead and front the bill and buy those cameras for themselves. And then, so if you have, Home Depot or Lowe's, Menards, and also wants to buy those cameras, it's a good way for the community to have that safety there, which isn't really on the city dime. So there's different, companies that can come in and buy those cameras if they like additionally at any point.
Exactly. Sales process that we go through it in a community. Obviously, you want to sell 20 cameras to us, but would you also go through the process of selling 5 cameras to somebody else? Is that something you would take on, or something we need to take on?
Specifically, someone within flock safety would be like another representative would focus on.
Well, let's say you need a company.
Sure.
We plan on, if we go this route, which I really hope that we do, we plan on assisting them, because the more information only helps us, so we plan on talking to Walmart, Kohl's, Kroger, any HOA that has a sort, because you would need a walled off area, right? And then those places are going to need sustained funding, because, there is a additional annual cost, right? So, but if you have a neighborhood that is structured correctly, you could minimize your costs, such as park trails, park trails, and even the park bridge across the street would be even less, even less egresses than that, right? So they could do with 1 camera. Park trails could do with 2 cameras. So they would have to come up HOA wise with funding for, $5,000 annually. And if it's worth it to their citizens, then it's going to be worth it. I'm going to kind of be their salesman a little bit, but bring them along. He drove down here just on a phone call. So they are very accessible, have been through this whole process, gathering information. I have not heard any negative reports as far as their customer service goes or anything. So I can attest to that. However, yeah, I think it is up to these people to try to figure out if this is something they want to fund and budget in for long term. But I would hope that their shrinkage in those stores would amount to way more than what the camera would cost annually. So.
One final question is, I understand that the retail theft is an issue. I understand that the catalytic converter theft is an issue. And a lot of petty theft is an issue. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think probably the root of is drugs. You mentioned that the Drug Enforcement Task Force would be using this as well. Is that?
So they plan
without
on.
going into too much tactical information. Is that something that we should be excited about?
So, oh, I believe so. That now they plan on, Flock has a mobile version. So they plan on utilizing the mobile version a little bit more than what we would. They have one that basically acts like a trail camera. There's a mobile one that is a lot more mobile than these fixed positions that we're talking about. I know that's one that they plan on using. The sheriff's office and their plans, if they get, once again, the funding, they plan on putting one on every exit ramp along 161 and I-70 in Lincoln County. That's their goal. So, I mean, that's significant information, knowing that a vehicle has, and we're tied into that same system. So a vehicle is triggered coming from Columbus, it's triggered a camera here. We know that it's coming towards our city. We can get people there, you know, and a lot more efficient.
Yeah, just one. So so we get the grant, let's say we get the grant, we figure out the funding, model, everything, go. And I just want to make sure, Chief, you're going to go out or another deputy with somebody from Flock to these HOAs and work on the buy-in. And then you're also going to contact, in hopes to contact the retailers and their buy-in and see if even maybe some pick up the cost for their own facilities. Then that's finalized, they install, and as soon as they install, we're running, correct?
Correct. This is how this started, sir. We've been preaching to the neighborhood watch groups already about this technology. Not so much as the forefront side of it, but the back side of word of mouth. We plan on doing a public awareness campaign on this, because when the bad guys know that these are here, I'm okay with moving crime somewhere else. I mean, that is, I'm completely fine with that. You'll hear me say Buckeye Lake's beautiful this time of year, I'm okay with getting the crime out of our city somewhere else. So I want to make it as uncomfortable for the bad guys as possible.
Yeah.
This allows me to do that. That deterrence is a big cloak around our city.
Can you, in that email follow-up you're going to send us, will you share the 26 locations they've
Yes, sir.
looked at?
Yeah, their deployment map.
Yeah.
Like I said, I would structure a little bit different, but we can work on that. So,
These mobile units, are they part of the 26?
No,
So how will that be funded?
what are you talking about?
Yeah, you said they were mobile units, so maybe the drug.
Well, they're going to be using those. By mobile, they're a lot more mobile.
Adjusted.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
okay, so could you define that just for kids?
Oh, yeah, so the Falcon camera is what we've been talking about, the stationary, put on a light pole, put on a wooden utility pole, set it up on a Flock pole that we provide.
Right.
But if the city wanted to look at another product, which we call the Falcon Flex camera, a little bit of different pricing, not enough, it's just a way to have an adjustable camera where when our installers come in, let's say that we're going to install 26 cameras. If the city also wanted to buy the adjustable one, we would just drop it off to the police department, because we wouldn't hang it up anywhere, because that could be somewhere they could move that around or put it here for a month, there for a month, put it here at the fair, something like that. Yeah, but different product than what we're kind of talking about for the initial and the only purchase.
And that's not saying in the future, if this is successful, we can't add a few of those to help us better target some other areas where we're having issues. Sure.
I just want to make sure I understand. So what is your direct ask for council now? Are you wanting to wait until you get the grant?
I would
You
rather
want
you
to fund
fund this now because I can't count on this grant. However, I understand that the city has to be fiscally responsible, and if there are grant funds available, we should look at that avenue, which we have. However, that grant is only going to be for the initial cost. So if you had the money, maybe somebody else could use the ARPA funds better than us if we have it. If not, then we can, obviously wait. I would love to move forward with this as soon as possible. So my ask is going to be forget the ARPA grant. Let's just go and do this. However, that's a decision for you. That truly.
Question. So in the structure of the grant, is it a reimbursable fashion? We can spend the money. Reimburse ourselves.
Once again, that's a hard question. So
Sorry. Yep.
I will get you that answer there when I get you the other. Sure.
John, you have a question?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, Jonathan Lang, 1684 North Court. Wanted to just clarify procedurally, is it just funding or do we actually need to approve an agreement with Clark Safety? Will we have an opportunity to review? I'm anticipating a lot of privacy questions and concerns from citizens, right? I think folks are gonna wanna know.
I have a whole
how's the
packet
data
on
used,
that
all
for you, 100% packet with all those questions answered with backup from people that have fought it. And so completely for those questions, when people have them.
And so procedurally though, because like I said, folks are gonna come, they're gonna ask questions of us.
Sure.
What are we gonna tell them as far as when to show up to talk to you or us or voice their concerns? Is it just when we appropriate? Is there, I don't know, Tricia, is there an agreement that we then have to approve?
It would be a contract because it would go through his office because it's like I said, we don't know anything.
Right.
Other than the information. So it would be a service contract. We'd have to approve. Yeah.
Sorry, thank you. So if there is vandalism on one, I know we've talked about this very briefly, but if one gets ran over by a car, anything like that happens, what's the turnaround time for a new unit to be installed? Or what's the turnaround time for a service person to come and work on that?
Great question. And I also want to try to cover what other question you might have asked within that, which is if there is vandalism on a camera, it's $500 deductible. Now, if it's a camera failure where it's a camera that's just old and it's dying, we actually come and replace that. There's no cost with that. Does that help answer that question?
Yeah, so, but more to my question, let's say you put one on one of your flock poles at the, Kroger, and a drunk driver plows through it and destroys it. How long does it take to put a new one? And whose cost is associated with that? Is that on that person's insurance? And maybe that's a bigger discussion, but what does that look like?
Well, I can tell you in terms of getting the camera back up and running, we do have technicians in Ohio. So it would just be up to me and my team to say, hey, you need to be here and there that time. Obviously, we want to make sure we get that camera up and running for the city as fast as possible. So that it's doing its job for you guys. So a few weeks is usually what we see, maybe 3-4 weeks, something like that.
Okay. Now, if the department needs technical support, is there something in the contract regarding you providing our officers support for files, whatever it is, the system? What does that look like? Is that encompassed in? Is that a separate agreement for technical service support?
So we provide technical service, anytime really.
So you're 24/7?
We're not 24/7, like we don't have a like a call line or hotline, but we do have several points of contact, including myself, that's pretty much available at any point in the day, text, email, call, that kind of thing. I'm one of the few people that are in Ohio that are kind of there to be the first points of contact when something does go wrong, somebody does have questions, if somebody does want to add additional, products and services, things like that.
Okay. Thank you.
Chief, thank you for your time, Chief, and thank you for buying this. You said this.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you a much better version of that. That was just my notes with where we wanted to go with this, but you're gonna get a much better one. We've got Councilman Lang's questions, and it has a lot more information in it than what, like I said, this was just a brief overview.
Appreciate your time. We have fire chief to swear in the next few months on, and we'll have now. And at 7, I should swear in at 6:45. 6:30. 6:30. Okay. 6:30. Okay.
Actually, it's 35.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't think we need to live stream. Do you want to live? Do you want this on for that? I don't care.
Everybody come on in if you'd like to. Sorry, because of the constructions, we normally can open these doors on the right, but since we have security over there, we're not able to, but you're sure welcome to step inside if you'd like to. Quiet in here. That gavel works, I guess.
Now it's up to you.
Said 2 or 3 times a year.
Ah, very good. Very nice. How are you doing there? Good. Bible? Ready to rock and roll?
I'm ready, sir.
This is a great moment in Newark Fire Department, and I'm real proud here to name the next chief. We have the previous chief in-house, and so all good stuff. If you would repeat after me, please. I, Brandon Metzger,
I, Brandon Metzger,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to support the Constitution and laws
to support the Constitution and laws
of the United States of America,
of the United States of America,
State of Ohio,
State of Ohio,
and the ordinances
and the ordinances
of the City of Newark,
of the City of Newark,
and shall diligently
and shall diligently
administer all matters
administer all matters,
and actions pertaining to my position
actions pertaining to my position
as chief
as chief
within the City of Newark,
of the City of Newark,
Department of Public Safety,
Department of Public Safety,
Division of Fire.
Division of Fire.
I vow to adhere to my responsibilities
I vow to adhere to my responsibilities
with commitment to professionalism,
with commitment to professionalism,
efficiency,
efficiency,
integrity,
integrity,
and loyalty
and loyalty
to the City of Newark
City of Newark,
and the Newark Division of Fire
the Newark Division of Fire,
and my profession.
and my profession.
I adhere to be faithful and loyal
I adhere to be faithful and loyal
in my service
in my service
by providing guidance,
by providing guidance,
by example,
by example,
to those within my organization,
to those within my organization,
so that my peers,
so that my peers,
supervisors,
supervisors,
and the citizens of the City of Newark
and citizens of the City of Newark
will justly take pride
will justly take pride
in the City of Newark
in the City of Newark
and its Division of Fire
and its Division of Fire,
to which I serve.
to which I serve.
These things I do,
These things I do,
I shall answer unto God.
as I shall answer unto God.
Congratulations, Chief. I'm gonna have you come on this side and sign your John Hancock, please, or your Brandon Metzger. Thank you. You've watched many of these and
Yes, sir.
necessarily put your signature on. So here you go. Good stuff.
You, sir.
Mr. Tim?
You.
Very nice.
Thanks, sir.
I present to you Chief Brandon Metzger of the Newark Division of Fire.